And, folks, I just think it bears repeating the Collins family. Here are their names: Mark, Waylon, Carson, Hudson, and Bryson, a grandfather, and all of his grandsons. Just take a look at that list and realize what that monster did, wiping out 5 members of the same family. Hudson Collins and Bryson Collins on the bottom, you'll see they're both 11 years old. They're actually cousins. The others are brothers, Waylon, Carson, and Hudson. And Mark, of course, was their grandfather. Who knows if they'd have taken that trip had they known that a dangerous killer could be lurking somewhere in those woods near their home. I want to bring in 3 other people who know a lot about this particular case and how manhunts are supposed to be handled. Melanie and Robert Tieperman live just a mile or so from where this happened. Melanie and her son actually witnessed the moment that escapee got away, and they caught it on camera. And Ron Liccardi is a retired NYPD police detective and the host of the podcast Crime Time. Welcome to all 3 of you. Melanie, we talked last night as this was all unfolding, and he had not been shot dead yet, so the fear was that he was still out there. And now the story 24 hours later has changed so drastically. I just want to get your reaction to the fact that they were able to find him and kill him, and yet your community has to live with what he did.
Yeah, it is relief that knowing that he is not lurking in the woods anymore. But it's still heartbreaking to know that the warning that we got that he was fully capable of doing this sort of thing and had no value for human life is so accurate, that he didn't hesitate to kill innocent kids. And it could have been any of us. It could have happened to any of us here.
And that's the tragedy. The Collins family was just, all within this vicinity. These are your neighbors, albeit it's a weekend home. But the Collins family from Houston could have had a phone call from police saying it might not be a good place to visit. We are searching for this inmate, and it is right within the 5-mile radius where your weekend home is. Instead, that grandfather brought all 4 of his grandsons up to that cabin, presumably to spend a wonderful weekend with them, maybe even fishing in the lake that's close by. Robert, I can only imagine not only the sadness, but just the anger and the resentment that you all weren't given any warnings.
Yeah, you're right. And that's one thing that just not us, but our whole county and community around here is very frustrating when we hear yesterday that there was evidence found in a house nearby that house on Monday, and they were sending it off to see if the DNA matched him. And, they could have easily let everyone in the area know, hey, be back on high alert, because he may be back in the area or he may still be here. And no one heard anything. And I know that if the Collins family knew that the house within, I believe, a couple thousand feet of theirs had this happen, they found this evidence from there is no way, absolutely no way they would have been up there at this house.
That is so inexcusable, hearing that. Can you expand on that a little more? Do you know what the evidence was that they found in the other home about 1,000 feet away from the Collins family home?
Yeah, what we're hearing and fairly direct is that in the house they went into, that it was broke into. They've said that there's money was missing, and actually, stepping back, we had heard that the family is another weekend home, and they had noticed the electric bill was running high, or on their meter online where they saw it. So they called someone to go in and check everything. And when they did, that's where they had saw that it had been broke into, money was missing, and a bucket was in the bathtub. So I guess they may have had the water turned off. And so he was getting water somehow and trying to wash himself with buckets of water. So
Was there anything else? Were there anything in a garbage can? Any remnants of food? Anything else that might have been, like, anything that you can remember what they found in there, and especially what they were taking away to test?
Food, but we also heard that he was spotted on some cameras in camo. So I don't know if the camouflage came from another hunting cabin that he may have broken into, or the home that Robert's describing, where the food and money, and he had evidently tried to wash himself in. I don't know. That's not something that we gained publicly. It wasn't a public announcement. It was through sources of friends of ours that are helping with this. So, luckily we kind of knew about it, but it was not something that was publicly known or given.
And the camo.
I mean, that should have been.
Yeah.
And we were told the camo he had, the camo clothing, was actually what they call a ghillie suit. And so anyone who hunts or any military person will know what a ghillie suit, and we have a ghillie suit here that we will use if we go hunting or deer hunting and stuff, if we're straight out in the woods. But a ghillie suit is a camo type suit that's has.
It looks hairy. It looks like it's a bush. You look like you're part of the trees. There's all sorts of things hanging off a ghillie suit. You almost look like a moving bush, and it's very frightening to think that he would have been in that, because there'd been no way to spot him. He could have been right beside your house and you wouldn't know.
Absolutely. And on Saturday, we had a graduation party for my daughter here, because we had 30 people here thinking, hey, we're good. Nothing to worry about. He's gone. And when that happened, it was
You think of the possibilities, the what if.
And
Ron, I want you to jump in on this, because what Robert and Melanie are saying is that not only were they exposed to danger night in and night out for the last 3 weeks, but they brought kids over, a graduation party to their home, having absolutely no idea that this dangerous felon, this murderer, this pickaxe killer and family annihilator was lurking still within this 5-mile radius, that they had said, we're closing down this radius, we're expanding our search elsewhere. Ron, help me process this.
Ashley, I am equally as livid as the Tieperman family is here. As a retired law enforcement professional, the onus was on the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. The corrections officials had that's part of their job. They're supposed to keep the community safe. This perpetrator, Gonzalo Lopez, out in the public, he was out for 3 weeks. Their responsibility is to notify the residents of Leon County, Centerville, hey, we have something that's not right. They had to be clear and transparent with this. And because they didn't, we have 5 innocent human beings, the lives taken from them. So this is a travesty of justice, and it's a black eye for law enforcement, for the corrections officials across the country, and in Texas, for that matter.
Melanie and Robert, last question. Okay, so now the critical crisis with that man is over. He's dead. He cannot menace anyone else in your community or elsewhere. But I would imagine that you want some answers. Have you been told anything? Will there be a community meeting to let you guys know how this happened, or where we go from here, or at least put your mind to rest about any other fugitives that are out there? Because by my count, there's 2 other Texas fugitives right now.
We, to my knowledge, we have had no news conferences today. I think the sheriff's office posted some stuff this morning on Facebook that he's been caught, deceased. Kind of end of story. I think it's just like that. It's over.
It's pretty amazing, though, that if you really measure the what do you call it? The headquarters for the search.
Oh, yeah, the search where the command center was set up once once he escaped. The command center to the house where he murdered the Collins was 4,000 feet. So
unbelievable.
I mean,
unbelievable. And You can only imagine if he was caught on the deer cams or the trail cams in a ghillie suit, that it was likely he got that somewhere else, because there's very little time between the time that that family was seen alive yesterday morning to the time that they were seen dead. And clearly, if there were other houses that had been broken into in the last 3 weeks, he was going to need something other than the white jumpsuit that, thank you, Melanie, you and your son caught on camera as he was running from the bus into the woods. He would have needed other clothes for those last 3 weeks. I share your pain, and I'm so sorry for your community having gone through this, and I am just devastated for the Collins family. Melanie and Robert Tieperman and Ron Liccardi, thank you all for being here tonight.
Can I add just one more thing before you close?
Sure
the
thing.
Tieperman are the only civilian witnesses, her and her son, to Gonzalo Lopez escaping from that prison bus. They videotaped him. She saw him with her own 2 eyes. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice, no law enforcement professionals have reached out to Melanie Tieperman to get her statement. Nobody interviewed her. You would think right up front that that is part of Investigation 101. Nobody even asked to speak to her.
And they saw her. They saw her because I heard them on tape when Melanie said, he's over there in the woods. The police answered, yeah, we know, thanks. We got it. So they knew that Melanie and her son were there. They knew that they went right by in the car. They knew you were there. That makes absolutely no sense to me. I think there will be more answers, and I hope there will be some answers about how he broke out of that prison bus in the first place with 2 guards, 1 in the back watching all 16 inmates. Thank you all 3. Appreciate your time tonight. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.